Hey everyone, welcome to the Oasis podcast. I'm your host, Miss AJ. Thanks for tuning in. An oasis is something that provides refuge, relief, or a pleasant contrast, and that is exactly what you will find tuning into the Oasis podcast. This is a space where I and special guests will be cultivating intentional and honest conversations about life's journey. Subscribe everywhere you listen to podcasts and watch us on YouTube now. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the Oasis podcast. Thank you all for joining us again. I am so happy to be here and so happy to have on a fan favorite, Andre. Everyone, y'all seen Andre one too many times, I'm sure. And the new guest with us, Miss Bree Anderson.
Yeah. Go, Bree.
Hey, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Tanisha. Hey, Andrew.
Nice to meet you. So I am excited to not only, of course, always have Dre, because we always have some great conversations and they always generate a lot of feedback from our listeners, but to have the new addition, Bree, and how you both tie together. You know, I'm always here for the conversation and definitely learning something new and putting on a new organization for our listeners, for our community. So Bree, please jump in and introduce yourself. And then Andre, you can go ahead and follow.
I'm Bree Anderson. I co-founded an organization in New Orleans called Daughters Beyond Incarceration. I started the organization about 3.5 years ago with 2 mentees, and later on I'll tell you how we've grown since then. But what I will share is that a goal I wanted to reach 3 years into the organization, I met that goal in the first year. We'll get into like the heavy work later.
Okay, Richard, I was out here in these streets. Okay. All right, Dre, go on ahead.
Hey everybody, I'm Dre. That's my girlfriend.
Look at you all happy.
I know him sometimes.
Wow. Don't start the podcast like that. Do not.
All right, come on.
I'm Andre Apparicio, the founder of It's a Process, nonprofit organization that's geared towards helping the formerly incarcerated, preventing our youth from incarceration, and doing all types of community activities together, because we can't have community without unity. Some of my day jobs are program manager for the Office of Second Chance Employment. So if you have individuals that live in the JFK, LaGuardia, Newark airport areas, even in New Jersey, I'm your guy to help them get an employment. It doesn't matter their background. It's as long as they're able to work at the airports, that's cool with me. And I'm also a program developer now for outpatient treatment program that I started as an intern. So I've been brought on to the development side, helping with the expanding is what I've been doing, and it's what we do, and I'm just
busy out here. I like it. Okay.
I love your shirt.
Okay, long story short, God saved my life. Okay. I try to wear t-shirts and things to like promote not only this company, God is dope, Black owned, so y'all support, but they just be having the shirts that speak to me. So I love these shirts.
I like that.
Yeah, but long story short, I mean, God saves plenty of lives. I know he saved mine. So yeah, because I could have been in a different place, Lord.
That's you and me both.
So let's start off with some background. So I know, Dre, you've been on the show before, but for those, let's say this is the first episode that they've heard, give us a little background about who you are, how you got to, being this CEO, starting these organizations, being a network king, right? Out here doing all the things that you're doing, and then connecting with Bree.
Well, for those of you that don't know me, I started off in what I'll call a normal New York City environment. And that is one of under-resourced, underprivileged, and under-supported environment. And what it did was exactly what it was supposed to do. It put individuals that I know, including myself, in predicaments to make decisions. A lot of people are always talking about we always had options in the community, but options and opportunities are two different things. Yeah, we had options, but were those real, true opportunities? Just to skim through, because I really want to talk about Bree and all her success. I was eventually incarcerated in 2009. I received 3 years for a gun charge. I did that time. I had to do 5 years parole. I came home with the jailhouse severance package, which is the $40 on the Metro card, which really I didn't even come home with it because I gave it to the individual I was being released with. And, it's been a journey like anything else, just building on the support that I have, building on the goals that I have, and really being realistic about expectations versus reality, especially when it comes down to my population, the justice-involved population, my population, the young Black man with a felony population, my population that's just not really for all the standing for the nonsense, and the same person I was in the street, ironically, I'm kind of the same person I am in the office. It's just that the agenda is different. And I think that what the biggest difficulty that I find with individuals that come from my environment is they think that you have to totally change everything. No, you just got to change the agenda. And, God willing, I ran into a bunch of individuals that supported me. They got me on my right foot eventually as far as coming home. And there was plenty of barriers there. I eventually became a counselor at an outpatient treatment program. I wanted to take it a step further as far as doing my own thing. I connected with a bunch of nonprofit organization owners that I knew was formerly incarcerated. I formed my own and kind of took a life of its own. And, I just kind of utilized my most important transferable skill that I have from the streets, quote unquote. And the office life is really and truly just being an individual that's there to support individuals and knowing what happens when you kind of like pour into individuals. I always tell people all the time, you take care of the people that'll take care of you. A lot of people say, you know everybody, you do this and this and this and that. But a lot of people don't know how much I really do behind the scenes for individuals, because I know that some individuals just need to meet somebody like me that's kind of like from where they from, look like who they are, and just be like, yeah, I mean, shit happens and all, but you ain't got to take that. You know what I mean? You don't have to. This is not our parents' age. We don't have to do anything just for benefits that's going to run out by the time we're about to retire. We're not going to do none of that stuff. We're going to make these decisions now for our best opportunities. But yeah, I would love to introduce this lovely lady. I ain't going to tell you how she bagged me online and all that.
Oh, don't.
She paid for you?
That's a whole other episode. But yes, Bree.
I'm always here for the Black love. So
Daughters Beyond Incarceration. Bree.
Please, Ms. Bree. So go ahead and let us know a little bit about you, a little bit about your story, and then how you formed and created your organization.
I guess I'll start by saying that the position I'm in now, I would have never thought the pain that like parental incarceration caused me, that would be my purpose. Nobody could have told me I'd be doing this work. And me and Dre was having this conversation one day recently, and I was saying, if I wasn't doing this work, we probably would have never met, and vice versa. Like, I'm sure if he probably wouldn't have went to prison and had the experiences that he had when he returned from prison, he wouldn't have got into this work, because he probably wouldn't have been able to identify the need of people who are formerly incarcerated and the obstacles they face when they return back into society. So I'll take y'all back. In April of 1992, my father was sent away to prison, to Angola. That's in Louisiana, Angola State Penitentiary, for 2 life sentences and 121 years for crimes that he did not commit. I wasn't born yet, which is interesting, because I personally don't know too many people that met their father for the first time behind bars. I have friends who met their father, like they was in their life and then like in and out of like jail, but not actually going to prison and never returning. So I like to say that my circumstances made me different, and I was like kind of forced into this work somewhere along the lines, because I met my father for the first time, in prison. And the stories that I had to hear, about why he was in prison, I mean, I couldn't figure it out myself. I had to listen to other people's story, like my mom, family, friends, family. And then like when I got old enough, I started going to court and realizing that everything they say was true, but things that they said in the media, and people, the stigma around being a child of incarcerated parent, it wasn't true. So throughout those years, it was very traumatic, because when I made 14 years old, like a normal child would be outside playing with their friends, I went to apply for a job because I wanted to get extra things that I needed, but I wanted to be able to help support my mom and my other younger siblings and my dad while he was incarcerated. Because we all know how expensive the phone calls could be, especially back then, because we didn't have the resources that we have now, like organizations like mine. It's a process, different organizations that help connect you to resources to be able to get funding for free phone calls or visitations. Like, that wasn't a thing back then. And children of incarcerated parents and formerly incarcerated individuals, that wasn't a thing 10, 15 years ago. And I think because I experienced this, it's not just work. And a lot of people ask me why I'm still doing this work, because my father's not home. So while I was in high school, a lot of my friends, when they used to talk about their dads, I never told him my story, but I didn't indulge in the conversation. I immediately switched the conversation. And one day I was sitting in my English class in my senior year, and they had a guy came in it was like an English circle. And he was telling a story about his friend who was wrongfully convicted. He was currently in Angola. So everybody else, they had like 5 people out of the 25 people paying attention. And my friends, I was making them listen. I'm like, listen to this, because I felt it interesting, because that was my exact same story, right? So I made them pay attention. But 2 of my really close friends, they knew, but the rest of them, I didn't tell them, because I didn't feel like it was their business. I didn't want nobody to judge me, because the minute you say something about my dad, I was going crazy, because I knew my daddy was wrongfully convicted at this point. So the guy was talking about the story. He never said names, which was good, because I think I would have been embarrassed if someone would have said, "Oh, her dad is incarcerated. Her dad murdered somebody, or he kidnapped a woman, or he raped a woman," because that's some of the things that my daddy was charged with. And I didn't want to walk around in school with people knowing, that story, and then I know it's not true. But how am I defend myself versus like a lot of stories that are happening in my city, in my neighborhood, that are true, right? So he got into like the net of the story, and he said the guy had 3 kids and he was fighting to come home. He was like, this is one of the most intelligent men I ever met in my life. And I don't remember what he was working at, but he met my daddy some years ago, and they became friends while he was visiting the prison, working with people who was helping other guys come home. So my dad was one of the, I would say, like inmate councils that was helping, people come home prior to him even coming home. Like he helped so many other guys return back home. And everything the man was saying was so similar to my story. So I'm like, I feel like he's talking about me. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember what he said his name was, but just going on, everybody, now they intrigued by the story, because he just saying like the man gonna be coming to court. So the whole thing was to get the people in the neighborhood, the community, and the schools to be more aware about wrongful convictions and mass incarceration. So they was going to these different groups and classes and getting the kids to show up in court. Mm-hmm. And that was the whole thing. Like, so people was interested. And I was like, I felt so much relief that they felt like it was true. Why at the end of the class, end of the circle, he was saying that the man was coming back into court. My daddy was going back to court in, I think, about 2 or 3 weeks. And the guy, he was like, the guy gonna be back in court soon, we're gonna reach back out, blah, blah, blah. And he said some other stuff, I can't remember, because now it's, I think, 10 years ago. And at the end of the class, I just was sitting in the seat, and the bell rang for us to leave out the class. And I'm like, I want to talk to this man. But before I could get to him, when I turned around, he was tapping me on my shoulder. And he was like, Bree, you look just like your daddy. And I was like, what you mean? So the whole time he was talking about me. And he knew I went to Warren, but he didn't know I was going to be in that class. He never saw me for real in real life. He just know the pictures that my daddy had. So he said, I have something for you. He said, I knew you go to the school. I was going to find out through the teachers. Just so happened I was in the class. So he had a stack of pictures for me from my daddy. And I hadn't talked to my dad in a while, like prior to that, because like the phone call thing and like trying to go up there and visit him while I was trying to graduate. So that was amazing. Like, I respect that man so much to this day. Fast forward, when my dad was going back into court, his appeals was getting thrown out. And like, usually in Louisiana, like you get life without parole, right? So you don't go back into court after that. But he educated himself, got the degrees he needed to get inside of the prison to keep going back to fight for his family, because he knew that he was incarcerated for something he didn't do. And what was interesting is that my dad's name is Robert Jones. The person who committed the crime, his name was Lester Jones. At the time, my daddy was like 18, 19. This guy was already probably in his 40s. So they had one person on the news, and they had one person in the newspaper, and they don't look the same. My dad is like my complexion. The other man is dark, and my dad had goals at the time. The man wore glasses with a bush. My dad didn't have a bush. It was so many differences, and it made it seem like similarities. And the era that my dad was under for the DA was the Harry Connick era. I'm not sure if y'all know about that, but a lot of Black men went to jail for crimes that they didn't commit, and they're still currently in there. Some of them died in Angola for crimes they didn't commit because of this guy. So they got my daddy for whatever crimes they said he did, and they pulled him out the bed while him and my mom was in the bed. And at this point, she didn't know she was pregnant. So all of that happened, like with the guns and all that, and they saying he did the crime, and they just knew he was coming back home, right? So when they go to court, and he kind of got screwed over by his attorneys, by basically everybody in the system was in cahoots. So they kind of railroaded him through, thought they was throwing him away, sent him upstate to Angola. And then a few months later, the same crime that he went to prison for, because it was like attacking women, a murder of a woman from another country, and robbing this jewelry store, like down in the French quarters, they have these famous jewelry stores. And the person was taking all the jewelry and kidnapping women and raping them. And they found all the evidence in the guy car, like they found fingerprints, they found everything, like even a car, nothing belonged to my dad, and they still didn't go say that they cleared him. So he was actually cleared by a detective, in which we know now, but they never went back to the judge. And the DA never had a meeting to say that we had the wrong guy. So say time passed, so let's just lose this guy in the system, right? And now we got the other guy because the crime kept happening. So obviously it wasn't him because they had this string of like robberies at the jewelry store and the women being raped and stuff. So they eventually got somebody to come in and say that this the guy who, raped me. So they tied him to the other stuff, put the same crimes on the other guy, and both of them was in there. The last name was Jones, no connection. Like the detectives checked everything. They was not related. Like this man was an old man compared to my daddy. And so both of them was incarcerated in the same prison, but in different camps. So if my dad was in one camp, he was in the other. To this day, my daddy don't know what the man looked like. And my dad ended up serving 23 and a half years of wrongful conviction in Angola, only because of people like the Innocent Project of New Orleans and like other organizations, family members and community support and witnesses to say that they knew he was with them during the time of the crime. Because, pictures back then had they had the dates and the time on it. Mm-hmm. I think my oldest brother, he was like one or two or something like that at the time. My dad, his other son, and they was at a party, like the whole family knew he was there. So they knew like all these years that he was wrongfully convicted, which is why I fought for him for so long, because I did go through stages where I felt embarrassed, some where I felt neglected, even though he was wrongfully convicted, rightfully, like it's not my fault. So like, who gonna do something about it? And at some point I started losing hope. Like I always knew my daddy was gonna come home, but I think the more accomplishment that I made, I can't speak for like my other siblings, but the accomplishment I was making, he kept missing them. So I used to send him pictures that my mom used to make sure I send him pictures, for prom, graduation, whatever. And I used to send him early because I didn't want him to feel like he missed out. But I feel like I kept accomplishing stuff and he wasn't there. So I'm like, is he really gonna come home? Like I believe he was wrongfully convicted, but sitting in court and seeing how the law works, especially in Louisiana, like I was like, this man, 9 times out of 10, they gonna let him die in jail for something he didn't do. So I got heavily involved with the Innocent Project of New Orleans when they did come to our family and said they was gonna support him. And that's how I got into the work that I'm doing now. So Daughters Beyond Incarceration is a nonprofit based in New Orleans to support girls with incarcerated fathers. And my goal was to help mentor them, support them, and educate them. But I realized there's no data in Louisiana that counts children of incarcerated parents. So I want to create that. So in the beginning, we was mentoring them, and I realized there's no policies, for children's rights in Louisiana who are impacted by incarceration, and children who have parents incarcerated are expelled 4 times more than the average, and that's nationally, because you experience like your parent calling while you're in class, and you have to answer the phone. I don't care what was going on. We used to have just leap testing and GE testing. My dad was calling during like some state testing. You think I was really about to sit there and not answer my phone? I'm like, you're gonna let me answer my phone to him, whisper and tell him to call me back, or I'm gonna leave out. Because that might be the only $3 he had on his phone, and I can't supply him with more. So I need to talk to him right now, because that was like my encouragement. My mom was always my strength, but my dad was my, the force for like me to actually like do something. My mama said something, I listen. Always listen to my mama. That's my heart and my rock. When my daddy said something, that was like, it's done immediately, because he not here, and I didn't want to make him feel like he not being a father by, I guess, like disobeying. And he only have this much of parental rights anyway, because I have to do everything basically that he should be doing for me, if that makes sense. But that experience was very traumatic. And I used to, in the beginning, not really question myself, but wonder why, like, I'm so attached to this work, and my parent just came home, like, why I'm not spending all the time I need to with my daddy. And I had to think about it. Like, I mean, if I want to do that, I can, but I can't be that selfish. Like, people in the world need to hear my story, and they need to hear that it's possible for you to still thrive through your traumatic experiences. Because the work that I'm doing now, a lot of people work with girls and support children now, children of incarcerated parents, but there's not one organization in this country that does the work that I'm doing. Like, people beat around the bush of the issue. Nobody wants to deal with the, like the stem of the issue. And I think that's going to resolve like everything if you actually dig into what's going on. And I think so many people are afraid to dig into the issue with kids, because if the kids open up too much and they don't want to do the work no more, they just have to leave. And now the kid don't trust nobody. But you have to do that. Like, you just have to trust it, open it up, and then connect them to the resources they need for mental health support, academic support, even like peer-to-peer support. So I'm excited to be doing this work. And I think because of what's all going on, in the world, in the pandemic, I'm excited that the organization is constantly thriving. And I know a lot of people had like the toughest times during the pandemic. I did too, mentally, dealing with not being, close to your family, friends, even with Drake.
Oh, I was about to say, all right.
But yeah, that's hard. But to see that it's constantly growing from 2 girls, and like when I wrote my business plan, I was like, we should reach like 100 girls in the next 5 years. As soon as we started the organization, they went to growing constantly, and it still grows. And we have about 130 something girls in the organization now, and they all speak on, most of them speak on panels, radio shows. They're always on the news. Them girls are amazing. I'm gonna bring one of them on the show one day. They are amazing, and they keep me going. They always say I changed their life, and their life is changing because of me, but they changed me. Like, they was my support when I don't have, when the lights go off and nobody around. Them girls are here literally like at my house, like they here. And when I'm feeling some type of way about something, they just automatically like text me. And I'm like, how the hell they know? So they keep me going. And I think I give them hope, because some of them say, well, my daddy have life, he's not coming home. And I'm like, go ask my daddy how much time he had, and as much evidence they had or didn't have, if a parent committed a crime or don't commit a crime, I don't feel like they should be able to take away your parental rights. If a child is having trouble in school, they should be able to set up a conference call with the incarcerated parent, whether it's the father or the mother that's incarcerated, so they could be able to talk to them, because I know how much that helped me and so many other people. And that's usually the person that discipline you the most, the person that's not present there, because you're not going to disrespect them. You're not going, you want to keep that communication as clear as it needs to be, only because you probably only get 10 minutes on a phone call anyway. And I'll get into that later, but we can stop that, because I could go on and on about how.
And I want you to go on and on. I'm intrigued. That's just amazing. Like, that's really amazing. Not only the sisterhood that you're forging amongst yourself and these girls, but the fact that you are really catering to a population that is forgotten, right? Like, a lot of time, I don't think the society looks at it and thinks about it. And Dre and I have talked about it. It's like, when you're doing time, it's not just you doing time. Your whole family is doing time, essentially, right? I think we've all been touched by someone incarcerated. I had a cousin that was incarcerated, and I remember how that feels. You know what I mean? Like, it's something that really does hit you in a different space. You don't feel like you can talk to people about it, right? For many, many different reasons, but especially the population you're catering to, because it was my cousin. It wasn't my father, right? It wasn't my mother. And knowing that person is supposed to be there for you to guide you through life, and they're just not there, not because they don't want to be there, right? Because they physically cannot be there. And so for what you're doing to really create that bridge, create that connection for these kids, like, I think that's just amazing. Like, it's amazing. And I am so happy that you are thriving. And I definitely want to learn more about what exactly you do to kind of connect the kids, either to their parent or just in the community as a whole. That I would love to hear more about that. But also, now go ahead. We can jump on that.
Listen to this.
So people usually ask, like, how do girls get involved? And I think sometimes people care. I can tell when people care. Sometimes when people just don't understand, like, why kids want to be attached to something that's so traumatic. The girls come through the program through social media. A lot of them see me on the news, they see me on panels, they hear us on the radio station, podcasts. We get a lot of referrals through the prison. So the parents that are incarcerated, I think, for one, people that are formerly incarcerated, to me, are the most resilient people in the world. period. But those people refer so many, and I say people because the terms that people use in the world, I hate when they call somebody that I love an inmate. Like, I hate that, but we'll touch on that in another episode. But they refer people to us, and they could attest for like our organization being one of the best organizations to like reach their kids and bridge the communication gap. So our goal is to bridge the communication gap between a father and an incarcerated parent. And some people have a relationship, some people don't. And our goal is to bridge the communication gap, but we do it in stages. We don't force you to have a relationship with your parent, because sometimes in some situations is the parent that's incarcerated murdered another parent, you know, so it's like tough for these kids. They don't have a real outlet. So we wanted to be that outlet in that safe space, you know, for them to create what they want their world to look like. It doesn't have to be, oh, I have to talk to my dad right now. Or, you know, just stages of like how they even able to cope with that and, you know, move forward as they grow into themselves. So we built the curriculum. Me and my business partner, her father's currently incarcerated and my father's formerly incarcerated, some caregivers and some youth. So we sat down, created a curriculum, heart-to-heart curriculum, and a few other curriculums. I can't think of the name of them, but we created those curriculums and we wanted different lenses. Like we wanted views from different people, because I see a lot of work that get done and it's only from the person that's actually doing the work versus the people that are on the inside, the caregivers, you know, they forget about the caregivers that actually have to take care of these kids. So we included all of those voices and created a curriculum. So if our girl in the program is working on social and emotional learning, then her father is in the inside working on the same thing. We might have to mail that to him, or we might do that through JPay, or however we do it, we make sure they're working on the same exact thing so they're able to connect with each other more. So we do it strategically. And the girl might come into the program and say, well, I want to talk to my mother or father that's incarcerated, but I don't know how, so I don't want to talk to them. So based on their responses through their mental health session, we take that back and we strategically put a plan together to where they work on the same things and they're able to like develop more sense enough to like want to connect with each other. So that's one way. And social media has been like great, like especially for people in other states. And because of work I've been doing in other states, we've been able to reach more people now, because they have girls in like all over the world, like literally. And if I feel like I know them, it's weird. They've been following me like on my personal page the past 3 years, and since the world has gone virtual, I know that's like it have its up and downs, but for us, we're able to reach more people because they can attend our sessions virtually. Right. And programming and get the support they need, because we don't have a DBI in their state yet. So I'm really thankful for that. And what I really love is that our girls connect with each other outside of DBI. So they come into the program not knowing each other. Some of them are so shy, they'll sit way in the corner. They got 50 girls in here and they'll go way in the corner by themselves and be on the phone. So I have this rule: when they come into the meeting, all phones on the table. I break them up into groups. Well, I know all the girls in the program. So I'll act like I'm not doing it on purpose, but I'll just call people names and I'll divide them into different sections, because I don't want you to sit in the same group with the people that you came with. I need you to connect with other people. And I do that so they can have like this peer support system for when, because sometimes you could be close to people, you could have this group of friends, but it doesn't mean you're going to open up your deeper secrets to them. Because sometimes you don't want people the closest to you to know what's really going on. You know, you want to make it seem like everything is, you know, all good and everything is perfect in your life. So I break them up, and going to the grocery store, to the parade, just seeing them even on social media, and they do things together. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I created all of these bonds. You know, it just felt good for them to call me randomly for my birthday. Like, they literally get together before the meeting. And we usually have a meeting once a month with the girls. So the December meeting, they know my birthday on Christmas, and we're not going to see each other on Christmas. So they'll really get together and buy gifts, make cards and all of this stuff. And at the meeting, they surprise me with this cake, flowers, and, you know, so like it's the small things. And like the work gets so heavy sometimes because we shifted from just mentoring and we added on workforce development, leadership skills, youth advocacy, and policy implementation. So we implemented some laws during the pandemic to create a council for children of incarcerated parents. So we did the council, and it isn't just housed in New Orleans where I'm located. It's specifically for all kids, not just the girls I serve, but every kid that live in the state of Louisiana has a council that's created for them to raise the issues that they face being a child of incarcerated parent or just directly by incarceration. So some bills that I wanted to pass was to eliminate phone call fees, but I couldn't do that. So I had to get strategic. I had to create a council. So the council strategically, I'm able to like bring up all the issues through different avenues to that one council. So now during legislative session this year in March, we'll be able to get some of those bills passed that I wanted passed originally, but I had just had to find another way to do it and to include the voices of like the caregivers, because people forget about them. And I know how much support that, my grandmother gave my mom and my aunties, we all stuck together and we still do, because I didn't realize until now, probably 2 years ago, that my mama was experiencing the same thing I did. Like for a long time in her life, I didn't know my grandpa was in prison for a long time. And why she was so hard on me. And I'm like, she's so hard on me, but not on, I feel like she wasn't as hard on my other siblings, but I get it. Now that I'm older now, I can see why she was. But I say that to say that the people who are currently incarcerated, they was able to have their voices on that council. Like I was able to get access to people in DOC and create a partnership with them and have people, even children that's currently incarcerated, on the council. So that's huge. And that's never been done before, like in the United States. So I created in Louisiana, not just for us, but for it to be duplicated in other states. So that's something that we're currently working on now. So every state could have their council. I don't want to run a council. I just want to go sit in their meeting and show them exactly how they form the council so they could bring up the other bills, because doing it the same way we did like 15, 20 years ago, with trying to get the same thing passed, is not going to work. You have to create this group of people and they have to be appointed by the governor. So our council is housed inside the governor's office and it's no way around it. Like the things that we bring up that's going on in our community, y'all have to hear it and y'all have to do something about it. So I'm excited about that because it's going to eventually create a big fund for children of incarcerated parents. That was the goal. So if my father go to prison and my mama don't have the support she need, or my mom might be in prison too, like who's here to support me? My grandma's 65 years old. The lifespan of somebody at that age, they might pass away. Like, so then you cause children to go get jobs. Then they drop out of school, so it's like the same thing over and over. So which is why I created that council and DBI to create a fund for children of incarcerated parents through the state level. So they have a fund. So when things happen, they're able to like support these kids. And my main project I'm working on now is from like working with Children's Hospital, MHSD, the school board, the judges, the juvenile center, us, and a few other organizations, and the DA office is one of our main partners. So when someone go to prison, and the public defender's office, when someone go to prison, there should be an intake form at like every institution, at every jail, or the public defender's office, attorney office. So we have a form that gets sent to them from DBI, right? And they fill out if they have kids. And we reach out, someone from our team reach out to the caregivers of the family to let them know the services we provide. If they decline them, that's fine, but to let them know we here, that's going to be monumental, because it's no real data in the US that counts children of incarcerated parents. The data that they have now been the same data for the last 7 years. But it is true that more children are impacted by incarceration than the people that's currently incarcerated. That is true, but I'm sure the number is much higher, but nobody's doing that data. So I want to be play a major role in creating that data here, and then for other states to adopt that and start counting us in, because y'all forget us, but they forget the children, but they don't realize how resilient they are. So that's what we had. It's a lot of work. It's not easy, but
sounds like amazing work. Much needed, amazing work. I mean, I can of course draw the connections of how y'all two connected, but how is it that you guys actually were able to connect with each other and tell us about? I know y'all got some things brewing. I just know, I feel it in the spirit. Tell me what y'all got brewing out here.
I mean, how we connected was, me and how I am on social media, always networking, always sharing, because one, it's fucking free for anybody that's listening or watching.
Yeah.
It's very free to share somebody else's stuff. It's okay. You know what I mean? You'll share anything else. Half the shit you share ain't even funny. You might as well share some business. But anyway, right? So I'm on the Explore page and I'm looking and I see a post about DBI wanting to do roller skating night for the girls. And, you know, in New York, when people are like fundraisers or something like that, they be like, yeah, just donate $50. Like, they tell you what to donate. It don't really be no donation. It'd be like a contracted donation, like donate $50. And I'm looking, and this just says $10. And I'm like, so I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to donate, but I'm sure some people will want to be a part of that. So I share it, and immediately like 10 people, you know, whatever. So, you know, I don't pay it no mind. I don't really know. I'm looking at stuff. And then later on that night, I think it was like damn near 12 o'clock, she inboxes me on Facebook saying, thank you for this and blah, blah, blah. I would love to learn more about your organization. I'm like, it's like 11:30 at night. I'm like, bet. But what happened was I was actually going to fly out to Vegas to go do some work, actually. So I'm like, yo, I'm going to sleep, whatever. But best believe, as soon as I woke up, I was like, hey.
He said, good morning.
Good morning. What's going on?
Came back.
And I felt it because it was like, you know how when you go through the profile, and obviously you hear profile, and a lot of people don't understand the word profile and what that means in so many different aspects, you know, and of course, social media isn't everything, but if that's the only thing we have to judge you on, that's what you will be judged on, which is why I have multiple pages, you understand? So you just don't know. But anyway, right? So I'm looking at this and I'm like, damn, this is a crazy story. Now, it never dawned on me to even look into the story with her father and stuff. I'm just focusing on the stuff she's doing. And I'm like, this is pretty dope. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you know what? She live in New Orleans. I've never been to New Orleans.
I love balance.
You know, like, I can make this work. But then, you know, she's Bree. And she dubbed me a couple of times, you know what I mean?
She's busy. Like,
yeah, no, she got a little busy on me. Then I had to get busy too. Like, yo, I get busy too, sis. What's up? Like, you know, we worked it out. And I think that, I mean, it's obvious why we actually work so well together. And I think that even with speaking with my therapist, I also spoke on the fact that because we did live in two different states, I didn't want her to feel like this was like a father part two, where she has someone she loves and wants to be with, and they're away, you know? So I wanted to make sure that I was coming to see her as much as possible, but also I had to realize that if I want this for later on, I got to do some things now, you know? And things weren't set up at the time when we first met. So it was a lot of me kind of like grasping for straws, like, all right, I know I can do certain things, but what's actually going to work, you know? And is she gonna have the time? Like, damn, she done already waited for her pops 23 years. You think she gonna be out here waiting on me? You know, these are the things that kind of played in my mind. Like, you know, you gotta really be like, you know, take these things into consideration.
To go home, homie.
Right? You know, you gotta take it into consideration. So she had her first, what was it? It was
a symposium.
They had a symposium, their first thing that they did, and I was like, I'm gonna go down there and surprise her. I'm gonna go and support her and actually meet her. And it was almost a full-scale surprise, except I got lost, so I couldn't figure out like how to get to where the place was. So I had to tell her I was there, but it was the greatest thing ever. Came out with
the elevator.
She comes out the elevator. I tell her I'm downstairs, and the door's open, and she looks at me, and she gives this nervous ass smile, and the elevator door is closed. She don't even.
I got back on the elevator. I was like, back up to go do something.
She stepped off the elevator, looked at me, stared, and got back on the elevator. I was like, this is not how I planned this. This is crazy. And then it was so funny because my mom, you know, God bless her grandmother. I was here and she was standing there and she says, hey, so you from New York? And I said, yeah. She's like, I'm Bree's grandmother. I'm like, yeah. She's like, nice to meet you. And she was just like, I'm like, hey, nice to meet you too, you know, but you know, and it was really good. And I still have the same feelings, probably even more now, you know, that not only was she worth it, the decision to be more for myself was worth it. Because, you know, a lot of the times you just really getting caught up with all of this social media romance that makes it seem like everything is instant. And if you can't provide for your spouse, then you're not doing it, or you're not doing it enough and stuff like that. But luckily, you know, she's more understanding than most, probably more understanding than any individual that I've ever met, you know. And I really think that that's solely because she's really busy, as you can hear. Like really, really busy, you know, really, No, and I don't want to get into the way of that. I just want to support that like I would support anybody else. But because it's my lady, it's even better to support that because it's like, whatever. And she makes it happen. And like she says, like her relationship with the girls, there's no words. There's nothing that she can say to actually, you have to really witness this relationship with these hundreds of girls. It's the same rapport with all of them, like sometimes I'll call over there, it's 50 girls and I'm like,
I will go to sleep and be 2 of them if we have like this meeting or event or something, and I'll go to sleep and it'll be like 2 or 3 of them here. I wake up, I got one on side me in the bed now. I have one on this side, one on the end, one on the side of the window. So when I get to bed, I step on it. They have 2 on the floor. They got about 8 of them in the front. Literally, I'm like, y'all
in her house. I'm talking about you will go in there and it's like a little girl's retreat. They like all over the floor, all over the bed, and she don't do nothing. She just step right on over them, do what she got to do, But we need that. Like, where do we have these safe havens?
Yeah.
Where? And especially like she was saying, growing up, I now realize why some of my friends acted the way that I had no idea some of my friends' parents had life and stuff or had 25 years to do until recently. When they tell me, my brother this, I had a friend I was speaking to on a regular, and it wasn't until her brother came home that she filled me in. Like her brother was wrongfully convicted. He was a Haitian immigrant, came over here. He got caught up in some stuff. How they like to run it. And he got charged 13 years for something he literally did not do.
Yeah.
And I got a close friend, his father, same story. And everybody know me, I love my Haitians. Haitian immigrant. He was a taxi driver. Somebody got in his car after they robbed somebody. Oh. Wow. The cop said,
he was accomplice.
Whatever they asked the dude said, nah, he with us. His father got deported.
Wow.
Yeah.
And my friend, I tell that story because my friend, now he's doing great, but he did 4 state bids, and I felt like a lot of the things having those one-on-one conversations with him was just off the mere fact that not only did he not have a father, he felt like, and this is the thing about, especially in the Black community, Black household, we have to stop telling these young men they got to be the men of the house because they're unclear of what a man is.
What a man is,
and they associate man with money, and that doesn't make you a man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your decisions is what makes you a man. And he went and said, you know what? Well, my pops ain't here. I got to do what I got to do. And he told me the story, started selling drugs from young, and stuff like that. And these things are real. These are the effects. This is the cycle. This is the thing that we choose to ignore. I just went to go get a COVID test, right? And the MD is shut down or whatever the case may be. The COVID testing is in a tent. It is 9 degrees in New York right now, right? The tent is across the street from the same courthouse that's open Monday through Friday to lock niggas up. But we can't use that courthouse to do testing.
Nope.
It was, I sat there and I'm just like, this is why you be upset. You be thinking too much. You know what I mean? But these are the realistic things that we have to really look at. And this is why I like hearing her and watching this and witnessing this, because I had the pleasure of not coming along where she's at now. Like, when I met her, they were just starting. They only had like maybe 10, 12 girls, and she was literally like just leaving her job, going to work this full time, said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And like she said, she's surpassed everything. Every time I wake up, besides, the wonderful good morning, beautiful text I give her, because, and I got to make sure you
morning
get that.
Queen.
Morning queen, grand rising, It's always some good news about some of the things that she's working on. And, and that brings us to some of the things that we're working on together. Like,
yes,
this is just, I let the
next. What's next? All right, come on with it. What's next?
I have a few things. Let me see where we start at. But first, I like to share, I think for people that's listening, to like not give up, like whatever work you're doing, especially like this type of work, it's so hard. Don't be afraid to like reach out for that village. And I was just talking about this on a live with somebody, that people want a village when they want a village. Like I went on a live and they had so many thousands of people on this live, this local show in New Orleans, and it's used for like different things, but it's a platform that someone I know, created, and people use it for drama, which is insane, right? To go in there and talk about like nothing, right? So I see the whole city is on this live. So I'm like, I have to be the one to stand up and take advantage of this, but in a good way, so I can reach their kids, because they was talking about like the kids breaking in cars and the kids, and now the girls are starting to do it. That's my avenue. I love dealing with the girls. So I'm like, you know what? I'm sitting out here listening, and I laugh at the funny things, but when it's drama, like when people meeting up to go fight, I don't like that portion of it. But because so many people was on that and they entertain that type of stuff, I had to go and let them know the work that I do. And the reason why they're on that entertaining it, because all of them have unresolved issues that they hide, and don't want to seek. And believe it or not, when I got off the live, I was like, I probably about 5 or 10 of them gonna follow, because they paying attention, but they gonna sneak and text me and DM me. I literally got off the live, I had 1,703 followers from that live. And from that, I gained maybe about 55 to 60 girls. And that's only an estimate from the DMs, because it was about almost like 300 and something DMs. But I was looking at my email, and so many people applied to be mentees. The girls, a lot of the women on there who I wouldn't have expected to even reach out to me, right? But they responded being want to be volunteers and mentors. And it's crazy, because that's a change that I see that's going to shift in my city, because those people that get on their live, they talk about the same thing over and over, and it's never nothing positive.
Right.
And when you get on there and talk positive, everybody like drop them. I don't want to hear that. But because I was talking about an actual issue, like a deep issue that everybody's impacted by on their live, I said, you realize why all of y'all going through the same thing? Y'all arguing with each other, like, do you have your father in your life? You have your mother in your life? They have the same issues. And I'm like, these kids are doing this, not because they changed, but the way the parents have changed. I'm like, y'all dating dudes that's almost the same age as your daughter. You think she won't be in the house with somebody 4 years older than her? Like, they don't. So I said all of that, and I was on the live for probably about 15, 20, 30 minutes. And so many people have been reaching out. And I didn't even work yesterday. Like, I was working on like our stuff behind the scenes, and that has worked for me. Like, I responded to every last DM, because I don't want it to be like a hot thing. I just got on the live to talk about the work and then don't respond to them. I responded to everybody personally. I even say their name when I started the bio. I responded to everybody to make them know that I'm here. Like, they literally sent voice recordings, crying their heart out about some issues that I wouldn't even talk about without having like a relationship with you first. And that goes to show you that these kids and these people in the community are crying out for help. So I'm glad that I could be, a support system for that, which brings it to the work that me and Dre is doing, by being like, the millennial change makers, change agents, what is like in the work that we do together or separately, but just still being that impact. Because obviously out of, the 10, 11,000 people that got on the live to talk about drama, I'm sure I was one of the only people that they actually was able to like be an outlet, and just pour their life out in one DM. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, one person sent me probably like 12 long messages, and I'm like, this is crazy, because if I wouldn't have got on there, I was on there and I was like, let me get off here. But they kept saying, bring Bree up, because she knew about what's going on with these kids. And I was like, I'm not going to get on. But when he requested me, I'm like, I have to, because look how many more kids that, and not just the kids. And it was like, we need more parenting programs. But because nobody's stepping up to do that, my organization focused on the girls, but my users are the people who are formerly incarcerated, people currently incarcerated, and the caregivers. So the way I get to the caregivers is through the kids, because when I teach them, I bring them in for sessions and do, professional development and personal development. So I'm excited about that part. And I think because of the work that I do so heavily in my professional life, as far as with DBI, it kind of shaped me into what I'm doing, like individually, like on my own, and the work me and Dre about to do on these several projects.
Yeah, and not just us, even her father. Her father's dropping the information for his book tomorrow. You know what I mean? She got her book that's going to be coming out February time. My book will probably be coming out in March, and a lot of these things are kind of like especially the way I look at it, having somebody that was wrongfully convicted, having somebody that was convicted, did crimes and gangbang, sold drugs, all these other things, having the daughter, of this situation, even her mom having to talk about her story about that, talking about my mom and how my mom was viewing all of this, and having to be the matriarch of the family, knowing that her granddaughter's father's in prison, her daughter's, love is in prison, and yet we still got to go on and stuff like that. And I think that especially a lot of the stuff that we're going to be working on now is more workshop based, it's more structural based. It's not so much of let me come in here and tell our story, it's let us come in here and structure you so you can be able to support somebody when we're out of here, you know. And that was always my main goal, and that's the main goal. Even with my book, you're going to have an option to actually purchase a book for somebody that's incarcerated and that have prisons that have the tablet. So I'll be able to send an ebook and be able to make sure that, you know, they get that information. You know what I mean? And it's like the stuff that I sit down with her with, it's really kind of like just amazing to me, because I was sitting here like, damn, I could be doing so much further if I wanted to do this business at part of it. I can't stand the write-ups and all the other stuff. Let me go out there and do the thing, and y'all write that stuff up. And, you know, and I would pay individuals to do that, or I would just like, you know, kind of like skip past that. And a lot of opportunities I missed because I didn't have that business structure that people want to see. They know I'm effective, but people still have their own little standards and stuff like that. And then in come Bree, and she's just like, you know, miss paperwork, miss documents, miss hair structure, this. I'll say, hey, babe, I need this. And, you know, a whole Microsoft spreadsheet is done, you know, in like a blink of an eye, because this is what she does and she knows how to do it. And, you know, and just getting that support, you know what I mean? And
it's necessary.
It's super necessary, man, especially as like coming up now and knowing that we have a chance to really make an impact. And you have two individuals that really want to make an impact. It's not about the money. It's not about all. Like, I am so far from all of this dollar chasing that people are doing. And they're like, you got to get it. Like, people will really beat you up in the street and they're like, you don't got crypto. You don't have this, you know. And it's just like, yo, you got to understand that we understand all of those other things, but there are some people that like me that, no, that's not the main priority. I do know that money comes other ways. I won't need crypto if I help put these other individuals on. I was just talking about how sad I am seeing all of these damn pantries opening up when we could just be providing opportunities for people to make their own money.
Right.
If you can pay for these things, you can pay for trainings for these individuals to learn how to have their business structured, to learn how to get these government contracts, to learn how to build business and stuff. But no, we rather sit here and rely on those that have put us in these oppressive situations, that have us out here in poverty, that then come and bring us the crumbs of the poverty that they cause and get paid for it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I mean, and that's really what it boils down to, and that's why I'm so excited for her. You know, she's definitely speaking more and coming to herself more, and she needs that. I need more of Bree out here. I need more of her story. I need more of her structure out here, because there are so many people that can really benefit from her. You know, and I love it. And people are like, yo, you're always in New Orleans. First of all, my girl lives there. Duh, nigga.
Yeah, mind your business.
Right? And second of all, when I go there, I'm not the superior network king and all of this other stuff. I get to sit back there and support an individual, you know, and sit back and be like, all right, and if something steps up, I'm like, hey, watch it, you know. But I still let her do her thing, and watching her grow and sitting down there. And she'll tell you, even with the book, I wrote the book in a day.
Okay.
And I literally got down there on Friday, and she had wrote her book, and I was saying that I was supposed to write my book, and that was our goal that we wrote on the whiteboard when she came to see me, because we have a whiteboard in my crib, and we set out everything that we wanted to do, and I erased everything. We finished everything, you know. And it was kind of like, damn, she finished her book. We dead ass said we're gonna do these books. I'm really slacking, but I just couldn't get it. You know, it was just like I didn't want to just put nothing together. And I got down to see her on the Friday morning, and I went to sleep that evening, and I woke up 4:00 in the morning, and the whole outline of the book was in my head.
What ideas? Oh my God.
And I woke up, I said, babe, I got it. She said, what? I said, I'm gonna write the book. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I like showed her the whole outline for the chapters. And I'm like, look, I'm gonna go through this. And she's like, I'm looking like, I know it's 4:00 in the morning, but I'm gonna do this. You know what I mean? And then I didn't do it that day. And then the following day, I went to go work out, and I sat down, and she was in the living room working on her book, and I was in the dining room working on my book. And I just sat there until I felt like I had enough to say that this is the structure and the foundation. And I actually ended up damn near completing the whole book. I just added a few things, you know, stuff like that. But like, stuff like this, my book is about the discharge planning and supporting individuals with the reentry piece. Her book is about bringing those family bonds together, supporting the youth. So like,
and erasing barriers, like teaching people
embracing barriers. Her
Yeah,
father's
like
book is going to be
barriers.
about, it's so many things that we bring into the table now. Like she just started a publishing company. You know what I mean? Like this girl just be sitting here pretending like.
We gonna have to talk because okay.
Yeah.
So, like,
And we started that publishing company. I started that publishing company because it's not too many of our stories like out there. Like it doesn't have to be like all of like the quote unquote like bad, like experiences. I don't take my experiences as bad. Like I love my experiences. And that's hard for some people. Like people be mad at me for how much I smile, especially because doing this work, like I literally work with some of the same people that hit memos in order for my daddy to come home. Like I just understand how life works, and sometimes policies and procedures are put into places and people have to feed their family. They might know it's the right thing or the wrong thing, or sometimes they might not. They just going by, the policies that's put in place. And that's why I make sure the policies and procedures that I have for my organization and my business, I create them myself. I might partner with someone to get their expertise on strategy, but I don't want nobody putting under my policy that's not going to work for the kids in this community, or this city, or this state 10 years from now when I'm not running this organization. So that's important to always like be in a space where you're able to create something that's like beyond you. Like the work isn't about me or my story. I share my story to reiterate why the work is being done, but the girls usually share their story because I'm not 16 no more. Like my experience sometimes probably was harsh and theirs or vice versa, but like they're 16 in a time where we're living in a pandemic. And that's another thing, like these kids experiencing some of the same thing we experiencing, all three of us. And like, 15 years ago, I wasn't experiencing what my mom was going through. I didn't understand why she was playing her music loud and turning the music up loud while she cleaning up because she thinking about how she gonna feed her family. Like I wasn't worrying about that. Like I just thought she was listening to music and cleaning up. But like the things that we go through, these kids have to go through the same thing. Like they really like real adults. Sometimes it's scary, but sometimes it amazes me that they're able to stand toe to toe with some things that I'm doing. And it's scary on the other end because they, commit these petty crimes. And it's like now, like in a sense, they're being treated like adults. And like it's crazy like the way the world going, but it's definitely changed and barriers gonna constantly come. So that's why I wrote my book, and the title of it is In My Own Words. I had 1,000 titles I could have put that could have intrigued people and made people like, I'm really good with that, visionary, know how to write something for somebody to say, you know what, I won't buy this just because. But I didn't want that to be the initial sale. I wanted to be in my own words because they have a stigma in society that you have to say things the way people want you to say it, right? Whether I'm speaking on a panel, whether I'm speaking in a room, speaking to a doctor, speaking to my friends, someone is always critiquing you on how you should say something. I mean, we need help with like work-wise if you structure, but when you telling your story, your experience about something you've been through, nobody else could shape what you experience. Like the way you said it is the way it is and the way it was. So In My Own Words was created to help people embrace those barriers. Barriers won't stop happening. You won't stop losing your job, or your car get repoed, or you get in an accident, your friend die, your mama die, your cousin die, your dog die, you lose your house, hurricane happen. Like those barriers not gonna stop coming. Like they're gonna constantly come day to day. You just have to learn how to embrace them, because what kills us is like the thought of not being able to get past it versus like embracing it and being ready. And I think my parents played a major role in me like thinking like that. Like a lot of times, not to say I don't have feelings, because I do, but when some things happen, it don't bother me. Like, and I don't feel bad. And I really had arguments with friends saying that I don't care. No, it's that I care enough not to put myself in a space where I know I've been 10 times already. So I embrace it differently. And even when I get funding, like I experience that with people like, oh, you don't sound excited. And it's not that I don't sound excited. You don't think I'm excited if I put all this work in. And sometimes I fundraise, like on fundraising days, I have certain days throughout the year, I will literally sit in front of the computer 19 to 26 hours straight. All I do is eat and use the restroom and sit back down because I know what it takes to get the money I need for the services and for salaries, right? And sometimes people call and say, well, we have a grant for you for 5,000, 10,000, maybe 100,000, or you just got this grant, you know, with the CDC and this other partners for $6 million. And this happened last year. And I was super excited, but all I had to do was call my parents, call Dre, you know, and probably 2 or 3 of my close friends and like, you know, we got this partnership. And I don't scream. I'm not that dramatic. Like, I'm very humble. I'm shy in most cases, but people have this traditional like thing where you have to like show some type of like, you gotta show your fear, you gotta express everything. Everything have to be like seen, whether it's your fear, your emotion, your tears, or your excitement has to be seen. And I like to think different. So I don't. And sometimes I do it on purpose. Like, I'm so excited and I probably would just be like, all right, yeah, you know, but that doesn't take away like I'm excited because it's a, you know, a success from what the work that I put in. Like even with like the Forbes thing, like my friend, I was talking to somebody and I was telling her, I was on the phone with her actually, and I was like, oh, Forbes just reached back out to me. I was like, I got another honor from Forbes. And I was talking literally just like this, like the same tone. And she was like, you're not excited? And I'm like, what you mean I'm not excited? Like, that's why I'm telling you, because I'm excited. If I wasn't excited, I wouldn't talk about it. But I know, you know, it's always like more work to do, but I had to catch myself with that too and learn how to like celebrate my accomplishments, but I don't have to, celebrate my accomplishments, but I don't have to like scream and jump in order for you to feel like I'm excited, even for someone else. But I'm excited to be on this journey, especially with Dre, because growing up like without a father, it leads you to like these trust issues, right? With people in general, but especially like with men, like in a relationship. And I love supporting Black men, which is why DBI is like the thing it is now, because if my dad wouldn't have had that experience, I would not be doing this work. My mom wouldn't have had the experience that she did, losing him to the system, I wouldn't be doing this work. So shout out to my parents and to my family, my siblings, you know, my close friends. I'm excited to be on this journey. This is so exciting because I remember times I'm like I went through a stage, I wasn't talking to nobody. Like, everybody knew me, everybody wanted me. Like, I don't know why. And I used to be like, I don't do nothing but chill. I'm always with my family, like, why all these people want to date me? You know, like after getting out of a long relationship, I was like, let me figure out me. Like, I know I'm not gonna figure out completely who I am now because we never learn like enough about ourselves. Like, we constantly grow, right? But like where I'm at right now, where am I trying to go? Who am I like right now? And like who I need to be for the next 5 years. So I stopped like even entertaining people like the what you doing, text and all that. I got so tired and people really didn't believe me. I'm like, I'm not talking to nobody. I'm not having sex with nobody. I don't know if it's a term you have to put behind it, but don't come my way. And it wasn't their fault. I was just to shut it down. You signed, which literally, and like everybody thought I was lying. Like, like friends. I'm like, you know me, so why you think, you know, I don't have to sneak and do nothing. I'm growing up, paying my own bills. But I meant that because I had to figure out like my lane for myself, not like professionally, but personally, I wanted to help develop myself. So I started doing more self-care, attending trainings and just like doing stuff on my own. I started traveling by myself, just jumping on a plane, literally like Thursday night, probably call mom and be like, I'm going here tomorrow. And I don't owe nobody no explanation because I'm trying to figure out who I am, right? And it was interesting, like when me and Dre met, because I like went at him and after like shooting people down over time, you know, having conversation, going on dates and all this, but it was nothing I felt intrigued by. I knew none of it was gonna go nowhere. And I didn't want to leave nobody on because, you know, I have a heart. So I was like, you know what, let me not talk to nobody, whatever.
I just got this one, Dre.
You know, I had to hit her with a little.
I'm on my social media page and sending people. He gonna send 10 people to donate the 10 tickets, and I'm like, so I scroll down his page. I scroll down the page, and I'm like, well, people don't show everything on social media, but at this point, I don't care. I feel it. You know, I'm big on energy too. I can feel it, even through a text message or post or whatever. I said, once I was like, first I didn't say he didn't want. Once I sent the message back, we talking and his people started coming. So I communicated that, like, I see these people coming. I'm like, and I think my business partner, somebody wanted to know what he was coming from. And I'm like, this guy, you know, whatever, he in New York. I go find him on Facebook. I don't know what happened. I think one of the people that bought the tickets was on Facebook and tagged me, tagged the organization and tagged him. Boom, request. went from Instagram to Facebook. So his mom was one of the people who supported it. So she's sweet. I talk to her every day too. She wrote me a message. So I'm like, boom, all right, she wrote a message saying she was donating, and I put two and two together. I'm like, all right, this is mama. I got him now. I was writing her back, having a conversation with her. Told him about the work that I was doing. I was like, I like to learn more about what you're doing. And then I was like, I know he's gonna write back. He wrote back and said, I think he was going to sleep. He gonna reach back out. Early in the morning, I jumped up. I looked at my messages. Boom, he was right. It was right at the top. I'm like, got it. This. And I felt it like we had, and then from there, like our conversation, grew. And then, we started dating, blah, 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 all of this. And then he came down. I think it was like, I'm busy, whatever. I don't know. It was like stuff in between, but he actually came, and like that was the first symposium we had for the organization. And when we started it, people kept saying, don't do a symposium right now. Y'all just started. Y'all haven't been a year in. Nobody's going to show up. That's something you do in 3 to 5 years. So, me, I was like, bet. They say don't do it. I'm doing it. So I did a symposium, and doing my research with the local symposium, it was like, usually 75, 100 people show up. I'm like, I can do that because I know everybody, but that wasn't my thing. I wanted to reach the people that needed to be reached. And when I tell you, it was so amazing to pack that room with so many people I didn't know. And that was my goal. I wasn't worrying about seeing my friends in there because I know y'all already. I wanted to reach people that was going to tell 5 and 10 other people about the organization. And from there, it grew. Like they had hundreds of people packed in the room. I could not believe that. That was the first time I spoke at a symposium. And this guy was here, and I was nervous the whole time because, mind you, I ran back on the elevator, like he said, and I already talked about him, so like my close friends, so they already knew to be on the lookout. I didn't know how
y'all women be quiet.
There he at. Then he had on a burgundy. He had like on a burgundy suit. He looked so good that day. Oh my God, I was so scared. I was like. I got back on the elevator, but we was doing something on the next floor, but I didn't have to do it immediately. But I'm like, you know what? Let's go do that just so I can like calm myself down. And she was like, you better stop being scared, because they be, all them in relationships, so they like forcing me to like deal with somebody. And when they found out he do similar work, and it was like, you better not turn them down. You better go downstairs. So we coaching each other, or they coaching me. And I'm like, all right, I got this. When it was time to sit down and talk, I was so nervous. I wasn't thinking about nobody else in there. I'm like, I can't believe you're about to sit here and watch me talk. But I wasn't scared to like talk about my story, but it's crazy because I had to be vulnerable. I was vulnerable at that event. And I think that was not run him away. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's what almost stopped me, babe. That's what almost stopped me from coming, because I'm like, am I going to make her uncomfortable for her first event? Will she be able to share how she wants to share? And I really thought about that. Like, I could just miss the event and then see her afterwards, because it's her first event. I know she was telling me about the doubters and shit like that, and I wanted her to be, her full thing. But then in the other instance, it was kind of like, nigga,
that touch
you want to support her. If you want to support her, then support her. So she can be vulnerable, and after she's vulnerable, you can be there. You know what I mean? And really, too, like she was saying, it was kind of like instantly I felt it. And anybody that know me know, like, yeah, all right, cool. Dre talked to this girl, blah, blah, yada, yada. But I'm always straightforward about what I want to do, how I want to do it, and yada, yada, yada. And
that last episode we recorded, Dre.
Huh?
Because that last episode we recorded, it was going in.
Yeah, it was kind of like, and really and truly, like,
I remember that episode too.
Yeah, with me and her, we really dated. It wasn't like, all right, I feel this, so let's just force this. We together, It was like, at one point we was like, she was dating, and she told me one day she was on a date, and I was like, what? And I was trying to FaceTime
him. I texted him on purpose. He FaceTime me as soon as that was the thing though. I knew I could do it. Let me text him and tell him, just because I know he gonna want FaceTime. Oh my God. The minute I text, he called again. I'm like, oh my God. I was so excited, like, you drop me back off at home. So I got my man back.
Yeah, because in the midst of all of this, we had our own barriers. She's going through her ups and downs with a new organization. I'm going through my ups and downs with a new organization, a new business. I'm here. I know what I feel, but I'm still like, all right, I'm in New York. I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm sure she had all of her other things she had to do, and we had to like really face that. And I was glad that this was like the first like, even though I've been in relationships before, this was like the first relationship I've ever had where I felt like the level of communication, it wasn't just there, it was fucking fluid, Because you can communicate, but y'all can argue while you're communicating. But if there's no fluidity, it's nothing to really like that you really communicate. If it's not flowing to where it's like, it's just you talking at me and I'm talking at you.
The reciprocity of it all.
Right. And it was like, all right, I don't have to be this way. I don't have to act like, like, hey, this is it. It is what it is, blah, blah, blah.
I seen this shit via social media. I seen this shit, but I didn't say nothing. I didn't say something is different. Mama, mind my business. and then I was just like, I would ask a little question. I said, you good? Right? Listen, his whole like changed. And so I knew something big was happening in the background. And so he was ready to introduce it. And I was just like, So I told him that. I was like, I'm so happy for you.
and really and truly, it really was really like true happiness. You don't know how unhappy you are until you actually realize the happiness of what you want.
That's a word.
And it was like, how the hell did I think I was happy before? If this is what it really feels like, this is kind of like, like I literally, like, she knows that, even with the hour behind from New Orleans, I'll wake up the crack of dawn any damn way, because that's just me. And I'll text her and I'll be looking like, damn, she ain't up yet. Yeah. I did it to her last night. I woke up the middle of the night. I was texting her from like 2 to 5 this morning. Like, you sure you don't want to get up? We can just talk. You know what I mean? And it's okay with that, because even when I went to my block yesterday, there was just like, one of my homeboys' girls was like, oh, hey, lover boy, and I'm dying laughing, and that's the joke now. Everybody's like, lover boy, Mr. Cuff Daddy over here, and
we all gotta grow and evolve.
But right after that, everybody's saying the same thing. I'm happy for you, bro. Yeah. Look happy, bro. And nobody's ever said that to me in any relationship I've ever had. Nobody's ever actually said, you look happy, you seem happy, you feel happy. You know what I mean? And I'm just still learning, especially with the relationship stages, because really and truly, like, I'm still new to this as well. Like, I know what I did in other relationships. Now I wouldn't consider those relationships, to be honest with you. So now I know I have to do things, and not only that, she as powerful as she is, I need to make sure that I'm not that next barrier she has. She doesn't have to embrace me. You know what I mean? I want to be there to, be that extra support and continue to be that support. And it's easy with her. Like, she's just wonderful, but she just being to cut like a Band-Aid. She don't want like a whole bunch of extra stuff. You know what I mean? And we just enjoy each other's time. We laugh and joke. And even with her family, like, the way her family is, she hasn't even broken down that piece, because although this whole situation was, absolutely terrible, she has probably the most close-knit family I've ever met in my entire life. Like, they come together to watch football games. You know what I mean? And when I say come together, I'm talking about they 30 deep. Everybody got matching outfits. And they know them Saints gonna lose, but they still be there.
I hate on the Saints. Don't start. Don't
start me.
And I'm just like, and really, like, the last time I was down there, I was talking, and her father, and especially we both coming from being incarcerated and stuff like that, it is another mannerism that it does create, and that's all facade shit, but it's still a mannerism nonetheless. And when he was talking to somebody, he's like, yeah, my son-in-law, and to me, I was like, babe, I think I'm gonna cry. This is like, I think your pops really fuck with me. You know what I mean? Because people from the hood don't use that term.
Yeah.
They don't. They be like, my sister, my daughter's friend. You know what I mean? Like, you be a friend for
that boy she dating.
So it was like, to me, it was kind of like, this is like feeling ushered into it, and just like that my relationship with their family has even bettered my relationship with my own family. You know what I mean? And just having those conversations with her and being realistic that every family ain't the same. My family's not going to get together for football.
Yeah.
Nobody watches football, like, to be honest with you, with my family. So I know that won't happen. But I do know that my family does like gatherings. It's just that all the other stuff that happens when it gathers, it's like, you know, you're running into those things, but you know, it's just been truly a blessing just watching her and just being there and just taking these things to the next level, man. And she motivates me like the most I've ever been motivated. I feel unstoppable, especially when I talk to her because it's not unrealistic. She's just like, even if the idea isn't the best idea, she'll let me know that, you know, it'll work, but you may have to just do that separately instead of just saying, you know, that ain't gonna work, you know? Like, nah, you know, and we have to both usher each other into these next phases, you know, and building that because long term, you know, like she said, I love the work that I'm doing and I love the work that she's doing, but I don't want her doing that work forever. She doesn't regret what transpired, but what transpired doesn't stop nonetheless. She did lose a lot of individual time, you know? And of course you can't make up for that, but I want to make sure that we're going from messages to memories. You know what I mean? It's no longer just sending a like, hey babe, damn, you know this, and I don't want to do that. I want to make more memories for to the point where she like, damn, I forgot that even transpired because it's filled up with so many different trips and ideas and loving moments and family moments and just the things that we want to do. So, you know, I'm just grateful, like, especially with all of the stuff that's going on and all of the new stuff and the changes that's been going on and for her support and her supporting me and really showing me like, you know, like you can be loved the way you are, you know what I mean? And you can also understand that if you want to love somebody, you can make a compromise that's not like something that's going to be killing you. You know, like working at this is just like anything else. We'll work so much on our projects and won't work on our relationships. Like this shit just super sick, you know? And it's like you listen to all of this social media philosophy.
Yeah.
There have you breaking up every damn day. Everything's a red flag. Some things ain't a red, right, yeah, right. Some things ain't a red flag.
Relationships with family and friends, like all the social media posts, like sometimes that's the only tool people have or they use. And it's like you can't be friends with this person, like you can't go back around this family member based on this. And you'll get so caught up in social media and other people's lives and don't even realize like that don't even exist. It's not true.
It's not true. It's not true. Yeah. But I mean, you guys already just dropped so much, but two things before I'm gonna ask y'all to, so I guess you can use this time to think, you know, what you want to leave the listeners with is two things. I love what I really, really, really love, and I think that's probably a thread that we all have in common is the fact that, and we all have grabbed onto the power of storytelling, right? Because in our communities as Black people, storytelling, the word and being passing down the word is essential. It's integral for us and our lineage and just making sure those who come after us are prepared. And I think that you all have created that platform. And this is what my podcast, I feel, is really, really, really doing as well, creating that space for these conversations. And it's going to live out there forever, essentially, right? And so anyone can at any time come and watch this and grab this knowledge and grab this information and use it as they need to. And the second thing is I love Black love and I wish y'all the best. I am so excited. Like I'm so serious. like this, when I see things like that, people loving out loud, you know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times we love and I'm guilty of this too. So we love in the corner, you know what I'm saying? Just in case, because I'm like, if he start acting up, I toss his ass and no one's gonna know. Right? But just loving out loud, I think it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And just the way you guys, I can tell and I know without y'all even saying, but the way you guys support each other. And I know that you both fit in with each other in a way that I'm sure other people haven't. That's what makes y'all fit, not only because you guys have this common experience, but because I think y'all generally have good personalities that mesh well. I think, and I think that's beautiful. And I just want to send y'all well wishes, genuine love, because again, loving out loud brings a lot of haters. So the that you have to do that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people won't have to do that. But like I told Dre, use that hate to fuel everything that you guys are going to do. And you know, like what Cardi B said, climb to the top so you can spit on them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, nicely, of course. but if you can fix them out to hate, then you can fix them out to get what comes with it, right?
That's it. That's a fact. And it's true. And that's why I Kill 'Em With Growth.
I love that.
You guys follow the page was born. This lady was flat out hating on Bree. And she was in so much hate that she was literally texting me and texting somebody else about my love. at the same damn time. And anybody that knows me knows I'm absolutely insane. And especially when it comes down to Bree, I get even more insane. But I realized that all of those things that were taught to me before is a facade. I can't say that I love her with all my heart and risk being away from her forever over a decision. And a lot of that came through the therapy, a lot of that came through the conversations, and it came through with growth. And so instead of just doing that, I utilized that energy that I wanted to use just to violate, because I can do that. But it was like, you know what, we're not doing that. And so what we actually doing, because this individual is like a fake ass, woman empowerment woman, yada, 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 even has a children's book out, helping children support other children, some bullshit. Long story short, what we're going to do is actually do what we do as far as empowering women. I'm going to use those funds to support Black-owned women and businesses just for these shirts, because usually I use all the funds to just support other businesses. But these shirts are going straight to supporting Black-owned businesses and organizations. We're doing the pre-orders right now to the end of the month. And then I'm going to order shirts and stuff like that. We've already purchased 5 coloring books, 1 novel, 2 counting books, and all of these things are going to be donated, and we're going to keep it pushing. You know what I mean? Like, whatever transpired, it don't stop nothing. Like, and that's what I want you guys to make sure that you're doing. We're talking about balance, we're talking about boundaries, we talk about all of these things that are setting principles and setting standards for yourself. What is the standard of how much you're giving to things that you cannot get back from? That's what I would leave the listeners with. Understand that the energy that you give out, it won't come back. But if you're giving energy to somebody that's giving you energy, you guys can make sure that, it's reciprocated. So, reciprocate that energy. People are going to be who they're going to be. Hate is going to hate. Potato is going to potato, as I always say. You know what I mean? And I'm just always grateful to come on here and have real conversations with you. You're definitely one of my favorite podcasts. And I tune in and stuff like that. And it's my first one with Bree, so this is super exciting as well.
Another memory.
Yeah, and I did good. I was like, as she started telling her story, I was choking up a little bit, because it's like, I know that she's able to talk so well with it now, but I just feel so terrible still. I feel so terrible still that she even had to go through this, and just realistically, like, when you look at these numbers, and especially what she was talking about in her era, and how they just threw people away. And how they still continuously just throwing people away. It just makes me sick. So, do your part, man. Support one another, man. Love one another, man. And go and get you a situation that works best for you, not best. I said it in the book. You got to make sure that your needs surpass your wants. And that's what I want people to do. I'm good. Thank you for having me. You know what I mean?
Thank you. As always.
This was fun.
And it's definitely some last words for our listeners.
Look, I was writing your name down, so I know he can tell me, but I had to make this a memory, because it's our first segment together.
So sweet. I mean, I'm going to put y'all handles and stuff in the show notes when the episode's released. But if you guys want to go ahead, plug what y'all need to plug, because again, this is also a platform to put people on. So plug what you want to plug. You want people to listen, you want people to watch, you want people to buy. So go ahead and do your thing.
Okay, so I'll start with, I have the book In My Own Words, and In My Own Words is not just like to share my story, like I said earlier, it's to help people embrace the barriers that's going to constantly come, right? So I have a picture on my wall. It's be a voice, not an echo. And that reiterate in my own words. So you saying things in your own words, but not only your own words, but you're the one who's speaking versus other people. So you're not an echo of what somebody else is saying. You're actually the voice. So being a voice and patience, the second thing is being patient. The work that you do, no matter what field you're in, it's not going to happen overnight. Like everything that come from it, the things that I'm seeing today and the successes and the congratulations and all the, I'm proud of you. All of that is happening from the work that I put in from constantly for the past few years. And I think the social media thing, it takes people away from the steps of how you get to the goal, the end goal, the goal you set, and how you get to it. People want to skip all those steps, and it's not going to work. You get that fast, you're going to leave that fast. So you have to put in the work in order for sustain over time. The work that I'm doing, I'm not doing all this for me and for my family, my parents, my friends,
Right.
my story. I'm not doing that for me. I'm doing this for the kids that I don't already serve. I'm doing it for the kids that I serve, but mostly the kids that I don't know already, because I want to reach more and more people. Like even the kids that 2 years old and 3 year old, they have those who have parents that just went into prison that literally committed crimes and they never coming home. So I'm creating this for them. Like what I'm doing right now is going to really impact and be impactful for the people who don't even know that this organization is going to be something in their life a few years from now. Like they have girls who 4 and 5 years old and they're not old enough to really understand it yet. And I see them now, I'm like, it's sad that she gonna be a part of my life because she gonna experience some of the same things I experienced, and you're gonna need this support system. So don't do the work just for the accolades and the I'm proud of you, or try to rush your success based on somebody else's success and visibility. I'm visible because I'm genuine. I'm patient with the kids, patient with the youth. I'm patient in general because I understand how life works. Like the same way it happened with my family. That same thing could happen for y'all family too, and y'all friends and y'all circle, or even in your workspace. Like I used to be so frustrated, and I talked about this in the book, just seeing people I knew graduated and just was moving on, and like they graduating again, and I'm like, when I sat down and thought about it, like, what you getting aggravated for? Because that's not even what you're trying to do. That's not even your lane. You get so caught up in looking at what somebody else doing, and not that you're jealous of them, but you're ready to start excelling in those areas too. But you have to sit down and remind yourself, like, you're mad about something you're not even trying to do. Like, I don't want to be a doctor. I can't even take blood looking at it. So why I'm mad that somebody, like getting aggravated, seeing them constantly graduate when I was already graduating in the levels I needed to graduate in, but I didn't realize that I was graduating from my pain. So so it could become my purpose. I didn't realize that until now. Like, and it's crazy because the story I shared through my work, I've never shared that in my life until I started this work in 2018. So I want to leave that with people, to be a voice and not an echo, and, purchase the book in my own words. It's not just sharing my story, it's sharing snippets of like throughout my life and showing you how to embrace different type of barriers. There's structural barriers, there's physical barriers, there's environmental barriers, different things like that. So I created that to be a platform not only for women, but for men, for people in general, because we all face barriers. People die, people break up in relationships. And that's another thing, like the relationship thing. It's hard for people to get away from that. Like, especially, I always say social media, like people move on and you outgrow people. Like I know some of the relationships I was in, some years ago, whether it's friends and a relationship, with a guy, like the place where I'm at today, that wasn't even gonna work for me. So move past it. Like people, it's so hard for people to let go. So I talked about that in the book, like letting go. Who are they and what are you chasing? Sometimes you're chasing something that don't exist. So letting go of things might be the best thing that could happen for you. I know a lot of relationships that I was in, whether it was through work, for instance, it was work relationships I had, ties to different schools, thinking I was going to do this, relationships, with men and with friends, and want to hold on because you have a good heart. You could still have a good heart, but in order for to help you and help them, you got to let it go. So letting it go is the best way to embrace a barrier. Seriously. And it's like the hardest thing sometimes, but you got to let it go, and you got to let it go with grace and integrity. When you have integrity, you do what's right. So do what's right for you and let some things go in order for you to elevate to the next level, so you could create things in your own view, which is why I created in my own words. So I'm gonna leave that. Social media, I think you said you're gonna drop that, but y'all can follow me at Bree of Nola on social media. And then I have like the other tags to the pages in my bio. So this was fun. This is exciting, and excited to be doing this work with Dre.
Yes.
Who found me? Dre, who found me on the Explore page, and he keep telling people that I came at him. He found me on the Explore page. I just went back.
I found your organization, sis. Chill out. Chill out. Chill out. All right. You found me on Facebook because you was looking. So chill out.
She had to investigate. She had to
investigate.
Whatever.
All right.
Thank you so much, both of you guys. But for today's Connection Corner, I leave you with, to the person ready to give up, it's gonna all pay off. Hold on. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Oasis podcast. I hope you were able to find something that resonated with you on your journey. Don't forget to subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts and YouTube. Rate us and leave us a review and comment on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and YouTube. Share your favorite episode and like us on Instagram and Facebook. If you have any questions, comments, want to be a guest, or any show ideas, contact us at ajaysoasis@gmail.com. That's AAYJAYSOASIS@gmail.com, or direct message us on Instagram and Facebook.